Hello. Hi, Alicia. How are you? Good. How was that? I'd like to see you. Based on your avatar, you seem very cute. So- Nice to meet you. Are you related to Dave Sission? Okay. And okay, there's a Dave Sission whose half sister happens to be Madonna. So I guess. No. How is the reception and the video? Can you see me well? Is because I'm on a MiFi card and just want to make sure that it's solid. Wonderful. Did you see it? Okay. And it was. And it was. Okay. My Skype automatically records as well, if that's okay with you. Okay. It started about 11 years ago. I was a corporate lawyer traveling for a .com from Chicago to Princeton, New Jersey every week, Monday through Thursday. I would travel, and in a business casual environment, when you don't have a sport jacket, or you weren't wearing sport jackets then to put all your devices, and I'm a gadget guy, I started thinking, traveling a lot, there's got to be a better way. And every time I'd go for a hike, my wife, I'd start handing all my gadgets to my wife. This was pre-iPhone time, and pre-iPod for that matter. This was Discman and kind of a phone and a separate DPS, a separate modem for your cell phone, and Palm Pilots. Remember those? And and the like. And I kept handing those to her, and she said, "Well, you know what you need to do is like, why don't you invent a vest and that'll allow you to carry all these things?" And it seemed like a great idea. And I looked at the marketplace, and for the most part, there's like these fishing vests and photographer's vests and travel vests, and what they all had in common was these, bulky pockets all over. You look like a tourist when you were wearing them. So the idea came to us, and hired a designer and designed a vest with as much storage capacity as any of those, but make it much more streamlined and hiding many of the pockets and really having intelligent pockets designed for specific purposes. And then the idea came to me, when I was using my headsets and getting doorknobs pulling my earlobes off. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. You walk. It's ridiculous. I'm like, you really think you're going to lose an ear or something? Um, After that happened, I said, "Well, God, why can't I come up with a way to route the wires internally, not only for headphones, but also at that time for external power, needs as well?" And I filed for a provisional patent and then a full-blown patent. And I formed. I never expected to be in the clothing business, though. I mean, what am I, a lawyer going into the schmata business? It didn't make sense. I wanted to come up with a great idea like you read about, and then patent it and license it, and just collect coupons for the rest of my life. And what I found was that's not really the way it worked. I mean, you have to take a long time for a patent to issue. And once it issues, you've got to convince other people to license it. So while I was waiting for the patent to issue, I started SCOTTeVEST as a proof of concept to show other clothing companies, what this concept can do, and hoping that if they saw the success of SCOTTeVEST, then they would understand and license. So tech was always intended to be the larger brand story. I mean, SCOTTeVEST only applies to this arguably niche brand of travel clothing, gadget clothing, call it what you will. The goal was is to take tech and license it to other companies such as, just like Gore-Tex and Velcro and YKK and all these other fabric treatments. But funny thing happened along the way. SCOTTeVEST became so successful, primarily as a result of all the online stuff I was doing. We're the first brand that was formed on the internet, first apparel brand. Before us, there was no one. There were brands like LL Bean that were catalog companies who used the internet as a distribution method. But we were the very first internet brand of clothing, founded solely on the internet, and it's a unique business model as a result. And we've been utilizing social media directly with consumers, creating this name and face of the company where people, know. If you consider Ralph Lauren, if he were to start a company today, how would he do it? How would he build a brand around him? He'd of course use this technology. So that's what I did way back in the day. So well, it has many more applications, and that was the pitch I made to the sharks in Shark Tank, for a variety of reasons, and that was a source of some of the controversy as well, which I'll explain when you'd like. Never. Well, I mean, when I first did it, it's changed. It's changed quite a bit since the very first experience. But the first experience was I went to the merchandise mart down in Chicago, and I started asking some questions, of some of the resources they had there, and they pretty much said, well, this isn't that hard. Just buy another garment that you like, and then cut it up and try to design it the way you want to change it for yourself. I mean, the apparel business is really based upon shopping copy. I mean, you see something on the runway on the Oscars, the next night someone else makes that same thing. It is not rocket science for the most part. And that's what I think has made our brand so much different, because whereas to us we have the expression that difference is inside, because the difference truly is inside the garment. The exterior of the garment is not intended, it's supposed to be fashionable, good looking, but you should be able to look at it and say, that could be anyone's, puffer jacket or or windbreaker. But the difference is when you see all the pockets and construction inside, hiding all those features. So, in this case, when we first designed it, my wife and I bought a travel vest and a photographer's vest, bought all the vests on the market, and bought a whole bunch of fabric, and we moved our furniture and created all this open space, got some shearing scissors, and it was the closest I've ever been to a divorce in my 15 years of marriage. I mean, it was just, both of us have no idea how to, make a pattern, or, it was horrible. I remember it to this day, sitting there having that experience. So we looked at ourselves and said, we need a designer. So we hired a very technical designer, and we worked with them, and they created the patterns, and we explained our invention and our idea of how to run wires, and she did a fantastic job, although it's evolved a lot since that original design. And then we had a prototype, and then it was like, one of the things I realized was that clothing, the life cycle for clothing, the development cycle, is extraordinarily long. So most clothing companies, the day they decide to have a new design and the day it hits the market, can be 18 months. I needed money. I quit my job. I was used to making a nice salary as a lawyer. I was like, this doesn't work for me. So I pushed the envelope and went from idea in December of 2000 to prototype done by April of 2001 to manufacturing in done by July. Website up by May, sales in July, which is extraordinarily quick for this business. And when you find out with apparel, you start asking questions about how you get something made. You'd be shocked that you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone in China who can get something made for you. And the idea is to find as few people in between the guy who's making the stuff and you, because everyone along the way wants a piece. And I was very fortunate to find an agent, get introduced to an agent by a gentleman who wasn't looking for anything in return. This is a very greedy business. Everyone along the way wants a piece. Well, the contacts, connections. It's very old school. It's very, you feel like a merchant. The agent that I found, 11 years ago is the same agent I'm working with today. And I've never been to China, which is unheard of for a garment manufacturer to never have to go because I have great agents. He works with a factory, quality, and yeah, he finds the fabric, sends it to us. We send drawings. We find samples, and we want it to look like this. 2 weeks later, we get the sample. We give comments, and it's very much back and forth. We do a lot of Skype. We do video. We use video extensively. I don't think that's something that a lot of the major apparel companies are even utilizing the technology that's readily available. There's so. It's time. It's time. It's not only time, time of the wasted time traveling and wasted time next week. I'll go and I'll explain it to you. I can explain it to you right now. I often will get my iPhone, hold it up, and say, "What's up with this, this, and this?" If it's short enough, I press send. If it's a longer video, I will upload it to YouTube, mark it private, send it to them. They're not. No, none of the larger companies are doing that because I know because I'm dealing with them. So we have embraced technology from the beginning, and it's been really effective for us. That's how we've been able to run the company from, last year this time we had single digit number of employees. We now have more than doubled the number of employees to over 20. We had 8, March, and our sales have doubled as well, and we're in the Inc.'s fastest growing company list. We really feel like we're onto something. Yep. The reason I went on Shark Tank primarily was I love the show. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I thought it was a great forum for me to, introduce my company and my brand and me personally to the world, to the United States. It's a very highly rated show, and looking for forums to do that. What's that? And looking for a forum to do that. And I thought it was a great opportunity to do that. So, a great opportunity to do that. I also, a fast-growing company needed, capital to continue the growth of our company. I didn't desperately need it. Unlike a lot of the people that come on that show, if these people don't get capital, they will fail. They're going to lose their house. I mean, there's these sob stories that you hear about. In my case, I've been meeting with VCs in Silicon Valley. I've been, looking at what our opportunities are to raise money. So we're looking to raise money, and I thought, wow, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to do two things: raise money and get exposure? Because I suspect that, most people don't know about my company. I mean, I don't know if you knew about my company before, my team reached out to you. And that's despite having been written about extensively over the years and been around for 10 years. So it was twofold. I pitched originally to Shark Tank SCOTTeVEST because that was my primary, retail company, and tech was, sort of the umbrella company that was, dealing with the patents and the like, and always ready to take off. But SCOTTeVEST is, my current, what consumes most of my time and attention. And what I realized in the process of pitching SCOTTeVEST is that if you watch really carefully at the end of each episode of Shark Tank, there's a screen that comes up and it lasts for about a second, if that, or half a second, that Mark Burnett gets a portion of every business that's pitched on the show. So when I got the materials, I realized whether or not an investment is made. So I got the materials and I said, wow, am I willing to give a portion of a company that's doing, at that time on track to do $12 million a year to Mark Burnett, and I did some math. Is that percentage, the value of that, worth the exposure? And I said, no, I could buy that exposure. I could sell that percentage of the company, go out and buy that exposure, and control it. Because there's nothing you control about the edit in Shark Tank. What happens happens. So I scratched my head and I pivoted, and as you need to do in business. And I said, okay, I still want to be on Shark Tank. I've got their attention. They like me. They like my story. What if I pitch technology-enabled clothing? They said, fine. But part of the stipulation was, we only want one business being pitched. You can't go in there and pitch tech and then start talking, about SCOTTeVEST. You're here to pitch tech, and that's what you shall pitch. And to the extent that you need to refer to SCOTTeVEST by name as an example of the value of the patent and what it's done for SCOTTeVEST, you can do that. So that's the reason why I did it. Tech, frankly, is an extraordinarily valuable company. As we started talking earlier, I actually think it's a more valuable company potentially than SCOTTeVEST. It's got a patent that's been proven. It's successful litigation. It has a much broader thing. But currently, its revenues aren't close to what SCOTTeVEST are. So I had hoped, so therefore I was looking for a $500,000 investment to hire a management team that I would, supervise, an expensive management team, and do advertising and introduce the world to tech. Well, in part that's been done as a result of Shark Tank. I mean, the part of the benefit is that if you give up a portion of your company in exchange for the exposure, so I have that. So now we're already getting inquiries from very major companies, that brand name companies are emailing us as a result of the appearance on Shark Tank to get involved. Now, what was interesting, though, when you watch the episode, they can edit it any way they want, and they edit it in its most dramatic format. And they acted as if, I somehow surprised the sharks that it wasn't SCOTTeVEST that I was pitching, but that it was tech. They're like, oh, the sharks have just realized that this lucrative retail company is not part of it. Scott is just selling the patent. And it's not just the patent. It is the patent. It's a highly recognizable brand name, technology-enabled clothing in 3 simple words. Explains exactly what you would need. Together with the design and consulting advice on how to design these pockets. Yeah, you could take one of these and knock it off, and with the exception of the things that are already clearly patented, and stay away from trade dress. There's a lot that goes into this. And for example, we have a new product called the Transformer Jacket, using magnets to remove the sleeves, that David Pogue is writing about in the New York Times tomorrow. So that I can show you if you'd like, if you go on the website too. I'll be honest with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I agree. It is TV, and uh, yep, I can hear you. Okay. I can't hear you. Hello? Hello. Hi.
Shackney from Hayes. I just wanted to
Oh,
thank
oh,
you for.
oh,
That's
oh,
okay.
what?
Marcy Shackney from Hayes. I just wanted to say
Oh,
hi and how
hi.
much I've enjoyed following
Oh,
your
thank you very much. I
travels.
really appreciate it. Come
Sure.
back.
Okay.
I'm just
That's okay.
interviewing with Huffington Post right now.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Um, so, um, I'm at a trade show, as you can tell, or maybe you can't. So it's there are people coming around, and I'm getting a lot of good, favorable feedback from people. But yeah, all publicity is great publicity. I'm thrilled I did it. I mean, there were a couple things I was must admit I was a little surprised about. I mean, the fact that Mark Cuban was interviewed, and he said that his primary goal was to make me cry on national TV, and he went off and said I'm going to kick your ass, and that's horror. Called me horrible. He portrayed me as a patent troll, which is much different than what I am. A patent troll is much different. I understand his position. He's in software business, and there are a lot of abuses in the patent law, especially in the software business. So in any event, that seemed to be a little over the top. I really didn't bargain for that. He also, on Twitter yesterday instigated a Twitter war on Monday, offering. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, he offering to support my competitor. I mean, it got a little ugly. I've extended an olive branch to him in an effort to move on. We'll see what happens there. I don't want to make an enemy out of Mark Cuban by any means. So um, I don't know if you can see me or not. Okay. Okay. All right. There we go. So. mm. That is correct. That is correct. As of 2 years ago, we entered into licensing agreements with those companies and several others that I can't disclose due to confidentiality. So right now, we're full on. Have a team reaching out and being reached out to license tech, and we're going to bring tech into not only other brands, but tech may very well start to have its own brand of its own for tech for kids, tech for streetwear, tech for like I said, tech's got a much broader market base than that. Can you hold 1 second? Hold on. Hey, Robin, I'm in the middle of an interview. All right, I'm fine. Bye. Okay. For some reason, you're on Skype there as well. So it actually, when we say it didn't work out as planned, I mean, looking back on it, I think I would have liked to gotten an investment. I didn't. I would have liked if the edit was a little more favorable, but these are risks that I took. So I think that it did pretty much turn out as planned. I didn't plan on Mark engaging me in the way he did, but that's not a bad thing. A person with 1 million followers, engaging you in that fashion. And who knows? Maybe Mark will start wearing SCOTTeVEST at Mavs games now, and and we can kiss and make up. So I'm pretty thrilled about the overall experience, and it's up to us to do the next thing. We actually we think what we're doing is unique enough in our company that we have a sizzle reel for a reality show, and we're in touch with a number of agents. I mean, we're on the premise of Silicon Valley and Sun Valley, Idaho. We have a very unique business. There's our four standard poodles are walking around. My wife and I work very closely together. She's a 50-50 partner. She's a co-founder and president. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening, and I think that this is going to create that opportunity. When this happened, we decided that whether this was going to be our first 15 minutes of fame or our last 15 minutes of fame. And we have aggressively decided that it's going to be our first, and that we're going to do everything in our power to introduce, take this as a launching pad to introduce the brand to as many people as we can, and both brands. Exactly. Well, did you see TechCrunch today? TechCrunch covered it today. You go to TechCrunch. Yeah, they're talking about it. So, and then so and now I'm invited to talk on Leo Laporte's show, Twit. Are you familiar with for triangulation or strangulation or you know yeah. So I'm talking. I'm interviewed there today, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited about where we stand now, and it was fun. I'd love it. I'd love it if a couple things. I'd love if ABC released the unedited version. I think people would get a real kick out of that, or edit it down to an hour. I mean, most of the entrepreneurs typically on the show get 6 to 8 minutes of airtime. I got 19. It's unheard of. No one, and yet a lot of great stuff got cut out. I can assure you. And I would also love an opportunity to go back in the Shark Tank, next year or next season and have another go at it. So I think that would be fun. I was a real estate and corporate lawyer. One of the things, working for one of the largest law firms in the world, DLA Piper, one of the things that was really frustrating is the moment people find out you're a lawyer, and this happened in the Shark Tank, they treat you differently. They just think you're scum, and I said I'm an ex-lawyer, and that didn't help. They're just like came at me, and this happens in business too. I went to law school, because I was looking for myself. I didn't know which direction. It was law school, business school. I was young. My mother had just died. I'm like, which way do I go? And I decided law school. And ever since I entered the practice of law, I knew I wanted to get out. And in fact, I have a book tentatively titled "Escape from the Law." That I'm dying to write, and I have several books, but that's one I'm pretty sure I'm going to write. And once you're a lawyer, and everyone says being the training is great for business, but I applied for business jobs, and they're just like, well, you must be litigious, you must be argumentative. No one likes lawyers. And if you watch the full episode of the Shark Tank, there was a moment where I said, as an ex-lawyer, I can understand. Then everything changed. They showed the looks on their faces, and they're like, you know, well, I actually, if you're interested in the inside baseball of it all, I recorded a commentary that I just posted last night. That it's long, it's over an hour of me watching the show, saying specifically what happened, behind the scenes or what parts were cut out. So that's available if you wanted to link to that. I'll say it remains the same. Hiring, motivating, training people to recognize that you cannot do it all yourself. And that was the hardest thing initially. It's the hardest thing today. And I'm recognizing that great people have made this company what it is, and it's not just me and my wife. Every incremental good person can take this company so much further. And we have 21 people that are all great, and I could just imagine what another 4 or 5. We're looking to hire great people, and it's really hard to find people, in Idaho. We live in Sun Valley, Idaho. It's a community of 5,000 people. It's a resort town. Most people live there because they want to ski. They don't want to work hard. They're not there for a career. They're there for a lifestyle. So, it's not like New York or LA or Seattle or, where, people are anxious to, bust ass and work really hard. And, so that's been the hardest thing. And I'm admittedly, and this even came on, Barbara on the Shark Tank said, God, you must be one pain in the ass to work for. Who's your partner? And I was proud to say, my wife is my full partner. So, admittedly, I am demanding. I'm intense. I'm passionate about what I believe in, and it's hard to find people who can keep up. And so that's been the hardest thing from the get-go, and it remains the hardest thing. But it's getting easier. I think that you see one person, you build trust in that one person. You know that if you can, give them a task and they complete it and they complete it well, then it says to you that there is a pathway here. Liberty, freedom, to control my own destiny. I could never work for anyone else ever again. I wake up in the morning, and if I work hard, I reap the benefits. If I screw up, it's my fault and no one else's. If someone that works for me screws up, I'm responsible for getting it fixed. I I like that. I'm working harder than I ever have, and I'm enjoying it more than I ever did, when I practiced law. That's all right. Oh God, where do I start? Laura, I mean Laura's awesome. I mean, it's a perfect partnership and perfect marriage. I mean, in so many respects. I mean, I started this business 11 years ago. She was working as a headmaster of a school that her family owned in Chicago, and she helped me. She saw me floundering practicing law. Although I was very successful at it, I was miserable. And she was completely supportive when I quit, a very high-paying legal job to say, follow your dreams. Like, we'll live off of my salary for a period of time. She helped me write copy, helped me write the website, helped me do everything. Having said that, when we decided to move to Sun Valley about 8 years ago, she said, there is no way in hell I could ever work with you. You're just too difficult. It would ruin our marriage. What we're going to do, I understand, she says, that when we first start, I'm going to get you going. And after that, we're going to hire someone. I'm going to do my own thing. It's a recipe for disaster having a husband and wife work together. And I said, thank you very much. I agreed with her. And, 8 years later, we have been working. So we have a perfect team. She is the hardest working woman or person. She goes into the office at 2:30 every morning. She wakes up in the middle of the night. She worries about work. She says, damn it, I'm just going to go in. For the past 4 years, every single day, 2:30, and she leaves at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And she there's not an important decision that's made there that she is not involved in. She, you know, I won't. I consult with her constantly. I know I'm the face of the company, but until recently, she did get involved with the catalog. She's involved with our women's line as well, and which is extensive now and is doing tremendously well. Um, I just she is my other half. I mean, I, you know, she and we don't have children. You know, by choice. Our business is our child. Our poodles are our children. We could not have our poodles and our business and children. It's just non-sustainable. So, it's I don't. She handles all the ordering and she's the glue. She's the absolute glue that keeps the company together. Yeah, she really is. Yeah, I don't know where I'd be without her. I really don't. I actually I'm scared to think about that. So, and she's tougher than me. I mean, if anyone watched Shark Tank, oh my God, she is tougher than me. A lot of people have suggested that had I brought Laura on Shark Tank, that perhaps it would have been a different experience. That they would have. I think once Mark started coming at me, I'm gonna kick your ass. She would have just she would have tore into him. I'm glad that she did not come on, but and she has no desire for that type of attention. To me, I'm kind of oblivious. A lot of people like look at me and I do it naturally. To me, I love promoting my business. I love promoting these things. It comes naturally to me. So for her, it's not what she likes to do. Yeah. Laura. I pronounce it Laura, but I'm from the East Coast. It's Laura. Yeah. I'm 47, and I think she's 45. She February 19th, 67. Let me do that now. Yeah, you can go with 45, but Laura, are you 45? She's either 45 or 46, so I'm erring on the correct side, I believe. No, no, it's actually based in Ketchum, 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 Idaho. Ketchum's kind of synonymous with Sun Valley. Yes, December of 2011 or 2000, December of 2000. Um, we're in a little flux. I'm comfortable saying 21 because we just hired two people yesterday and one's going, and it's a 21. Um, this year, well, on Shark Tank, I said this year we're hoping to do 24 million. So I'm gonna still hope to do 24 million this year. So I'm gonna stick with that figure. I mean, that's our projection. Yes, but technology-enabled clothing is a licensing website too. You can refer to them both if you'd like. No, I wish. It's spelled out technologyenabledclothing.com. It's a mouthful. But if you go to our website and you know SCOTTeVEST and there's tech logos, you can click on those. It'll bring them right there, and you can cut and paste. But that is a separate. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you want, I can drop these videos in Dropbox and share them with you, so you can access them. If you wanted to, add more color to the interview and publish them, you're welcome to it. If you think it. When do you think it'll publish? How soon? Wow. Okay. Great. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. That'd be awesome. I'll talk to you. Bye bye. Bye bye.